charts of certain senators, and if those charts were thought to be bad or threatening to either of those guys, he would have them executed on the spot.
That is rough.
That is real rough. And
Chart day was a big day.
Yeah, and there was another guy that did a horoscope asking who would succeed a certain Caesar, like Caesar Vitus or something like that. And he came up with a certain. Actually, no, wait. I got to get to that later. We're gonna get to that with the chicken section.
Okay, by the way, I knew Marcus was going to say a sentence that he was going to be very happy about because the smile on his face was similar to a smile on somebody's face that would watch Henry Zabrowski in the new ABC sitcom A to Z. He was and then of course chickens were involved in Marcus's smile.
But I also there's a lot of also people who do believe that, I mean, of course, now that the story that the Zodiac itself tells a story about the fate of humankind, somehow involving the second coming of Jesus Christ, and the idea that cherubim, or cherubim, as they're sometimes called, are a combination of different animals, all of which are represented by the brightest stars in certain zodiac constellations. And cherubim and the Sphinx are the same thing, right? And that one is called, you look to the four brightest stars in the zodiac to see what makes up the cherub, right? So this is, you can tell it's a story, right? Which is the Fomalhaut in Aquarius, which means man. Regulus in Leo, which is the lion. Antares in Ophiuchus, serpent holder or eagle, who, as they said, steps on a scorpion and injures his foot, and then that hunter, who's like Orion, is actually Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ also hurt his foot. Do you remember? Technically, the Jews did it as a sort of...
It was a different time.
The Italians did it. The dirty Italians did it.
That's fine.
Shamash might have done it.
And Aldebaran in Taurus, the bull, is a part of this idea that Satan is going to show up using the power of the Zodiac to convince all of us that the real holy ones are coming, and those are aliens and UFOs, and that is connected to Ezekiel's wheel, which is a story in the Bible. They believe it was a story of an ancient UFO encounter, and that the Antichrist is going to make this thing called Gog and Magog, which is a great war. Yeah. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The war will end in fire for the enemies of Israel. That's going to be intense. Antichrist comes with his holy ones, aliens and UFOs. And then Antichrist allows building of Third Jerusalem Temple, which I don't particularly understand.
You just feel like you really discredited your earlier statements when you said astrology is a great thing to bring up to women at a bar in Los Angeles, because you just terrified an entire bar. And women are usually just like, I'm a Leo because I like Cosmos, and I love a nice Mai Tai every now and again because, I'm a Leo.
Well, you tell that to the people I was talking to about the Franklin cover-up 2 nights ago and see if that changes their opinion about me.
Henry, I have a feeling it was like karaoke and you went up there to sing like Space Odyssey or something, and then you just got Can you play the music louder?
Ground control to Larry King.
I think he's changing the lyrics.
He's molesting children in Nebraska.
That's not the way I remember this David Bowie song.
Well, not only were the emperors really into astrology, this lasted thousands of years. Louis XIV, his birth was delayed until the court astrologer determined that the birth was very good in the heavenly sense. So the queen, on the astrologer's instruction, held the baby inside her vagina for an hour before the astrologer leaned out his window and waved a rag and said it was okay for Louis XIV to floop on out.
Because a cloud changed into an elephant or something?
Yes. Now, how does one keep a baby in? Is like a duke just kind of like put his toe on the head and keep it inside?
It's like the Santa Claus scene from A Christmas Story. Ho, ho, ho. But instead of sending a kid down a slide, you keep it inside of its mother.
Well, as far as modern day predictions go, I mean, things about an astrologer, it's just like any sort of fortune teller. They won't be able to tell you, like, for example, your car is going to crash next Wednesday at 3 p.m.
They can't do that.
They can't do that. But they can tell... They can tell you, be careful driving that day. Don't be careless driving next Wednesday.
Well, what day shouldn't you be careful driving?
Extra careful driving next Wednesday. Extra super careful. If you usually eat a burger while you're driving around, don't eat a burger that day.
Eat a taco from the new Taco Bell morning breakfast menu.
What's good for driving? Java juice.
Java juice is wonderful.
Well,
Anything you have to eat with a knife and fork, perfect for driving. Yeah.
Well, in 1987, a British astrologer, his name was Dennis Elwell, he wrote letters to a bunch of different marine firms, and he told them that the astrological circumstances in early March of that year matched those of the astrological circumstances when the Titanic sank. Of course, none of them listened to them. They all scoffed and laughed.
What an idiot.
But on March 6th, the car ferry Herald of Free Enterprise capsized after Zeebrugge, and 188 people drowned.
Damn. And I guess who did it? One angry astrologer.
I told them. Perhaps he wanted to get his revenge.
Yeah.
Very Kaczynski-like. But is there something to do with weather patterns and ocean wave patterns and things like that?
Well, I mean ocean wave patterns are dependent upon the moon.
Right.
Yeah,
So there is some scientific basis to astrology.
There's a lot, yeah. I mean, there's a fair amount of scientific basis for it.
If the moon can make a woman bleed and a man strong,
Yes, I've heard
then God knows what Uranus is doing.
It makes Australians into werewolves. Yes.
Here, Ben, you'll like this one. Nancy Reagan, she used to consult a San Francisco astrologer named Joan Quigley for advice on everything from scheduling the president's diplomatic meetings to takeoff times for Air Force One.
Did she ever say anything about Alzheimer's research? That would have been a good question. How do I cure my husband's future dum-dum brain disease?
Is AIDS a problem?
Yes. No, I'm not here. I'm not here to ask the easy questions.
Scorpio, it's true.
Should I wear the blue dress at the inauguration? Yes, Nancy.
If you're the presidential astrologer, you should have a turban on that has the seal on the top of it, you know? And like long, flowy, sparkly robes.
Absolutely.
Dress the part.
Oh, indeed. Pewter rings, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. And as far as ancient structures go, all of the mysterious ancient structures that we know and love, Stonehenge, for example, it was a huge astronomical clock. So that way the Druids, they would know exactly when to do certain ceremonies and certain rituals.
I feel like
They do believe that the Sphinx was also some sort of, that was more of a marking device. But the Sphinx is aligned to point towards when a specific constellation in the sky, which is supposed to link up to when Nibiru is supposed to be approaching our galaxy. And as we all know, that's a crock of shit.
Well, and then it gives it fuel, right? Something like that. It feeds it its energy.
Your answer is as good as any of the others.
I just feel like
free energy machine in there. There's a free energy machine, and the pyramids is the Stonehenge was just a place where people did their laundry.
It's the Exxon Mobil of old monuments. I feel like the Druids get a bad name. I think they partied more than the name implies.
I think the Druids were pretty fucking hip.
Yeah. Druid.
Druids have been working to this day making armpit hair sexy.
Totally.
And I think it's great.
Well, let's move on to the zodiac itself, the signs, what they mean, what they are. The 12 signs, they're essentially geometric divisions. All of them are 30 degrees from each other. They go from the spring equinox, and they proceed in that direction that the sun moves through them.
Now, did you find in your research, I heard this is true, everything is a month ahead actually now because of the shifts and the stars and things?
Bullshit. There's so much
this is
bullshit
true, though.
built into the timeline of the universe. Nobody knows when it started. Nobody knows.
Maybe you haven't listened to one Ken Ham, who is a creationist. It started 6,000 years ago.
Sir.
Yeah.
No, but then there's also a belief that maybe we are actually 300 years in the past or 300 years ahead because there's the Dark Ages happened and a bunch of timelines were destroyed. Maybe the date's all wrong and everything's wrong and none of it makes any sense. And maybe we are in some alien's cardboard box in his mansion in another universe. Who knows? Keanu Reeves could be president in 9 different realities.
Oh, I would love if Keanu was president. I'd vote Keanu anytime.
So the whole sequence starts with Aries on March 21st, and then it goes once a month, usually on the 20th or the 21st, to the next zodiac sign. So let's go through the zodiac signs, and all of you guys can, whichever one you are, you can say like, hey, that's me.
That's the best